Well, a Somali woman called into a live stream expecting relationship advice, but within minutes, the conversation shifted into a heated debate about Black Americans' history, identity, and culture. Let's watch these clips and then I'll come back with more comments.
Just ratchet and ghetto and negative. I don't know. I just find that funny. They love to pick and choose when they want us, when the tethers are specifically. They love to pick and choose when they want to have this moral high ground as far as what's disrespectful and what's not. So hopefully she don't continue that, and I'm not gonna advise her to. Ma'am, you need to get with you a Black American man, and there's plenty of them. That's what I'm gonna tell you to do. Fuck buddy. Anyway, I see a Somali flag, so I'm almost. It's funny how this is gonna go.
Hey, so I just like to offer, I have my own situation to share with you, but I just like to offer my perspective because I'm a African Muslim too. I don't think he was saying that Black American culture is inferior. I think
Who is who? Who is he?
Out.
Whoa. Who's he? What are you talking about?
The previous girl, the guy.
How do you know? How do you know? Because that's how do you know? Do you know him? How are you trying to? How are you trying to decipher it? How do you know?
Well, I'm just speaking from my own experiences.
Yeah, but your experience isn't her experience. She has her own. She has her own specific experience. So why would you correlate your own experience as a third party listening to another woman and she's talking about her specific experience? That's like me saying, hold on. That's like me saying, well, the guy that punched you in the face, he wasn't doing it because he wanted to hurt you. He was just doing it because he just wanted you to listen. So it wasn't in malice. So you just let him punch you in the face. It wasn't that bad. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So how are you taking your experience and correlating on her when y'all are two separate people from two separate countries, two separate cultures? What are you talking about?
Well, it just sounds really parallel to a lot of situations I see in my own community where some people date outside and they date African Americans and
Black American. African American is you. I'm not an You're an African American. It's Black American.
Okay, so they'll date an FBA. Is that what you guys call it?
Black American, Foundational Black American, whichever you want to call it. Yeah, sure.
Okay, they'll date an FBA, and it's going well at first, but then they start talking about family planning in the future, and then they start to realize that their African culture, it's simply like our cultures are better. Like we simply don't have the degeneracy we see in your culture a lot.
Okay, well let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. If your culture is so flawed, then why are you not in Somalia right now?
Well, we're getting BOM.
Wait, who's we? Who's we? Because the Hutus and the Tutsis are fighting in your homeland right now. There's tribalism going on in your homeland right now where people are walking around with AK-47s and are walking around, men walking around in dresses, unaliving the people in your own homeland. So if your culture is so popping, hold on. If your culture is so popping, why is the education system so bad in Somalia? Why is the healthcare system so bad in Somalia? You're not letting me finish. You got to be quiet. If your culture is so popping, why is the education system so bad in your culture? Why do y'all barely have any type of healthcare system over there? Why is all of the infrastructure in your own homeland destroyed? Mogadishu is a terrible city. It's terrible. Why is that going on in your homeland right now? Why is the tribalism going on in your own homeland right now? And y'all are the majority of the population, by the way.
Okay, one, colonialism, and two,
we were colonized too. No, Black Americans were colonized too. We were colonized too. You're the majority. We're the minority over here. You're the majority.
Yeah, you guys were colonized. You guys were enslaved, and you guys have the lowest literacy rate. You guys have the lowest.
That's not true. Wait, hold on. That's you're lying. That's not true. That's not true at all.
It is.
It's not true at all. See what you're talking about. Let me educate you because the big forehead that you have isn't working for you right now. Let me educate you because you don't know what you're talking about. Again, and this is how these people feel. By the way, this is what you call a tether. So I'm gonna drop you down because I know you're not about to do nothing but talk. But let's get down to the facts. Let's just address this real quick and real fast. When they love to talk about how they come over here and do better, don't let that get twisted and get y'all mixed in your head. These people do not care about education. They do not care about family values. They don't care about any of that. I would advise y'all to do y'all history on their homelands and why they had to flee. Do y'all history on their homelands and why they had to flee from their barefoot degenerate homeland, walking around eating cow dung and laying it on the floor and using it as a bed. You want to talk about culture? Y'all are bopping each other over the head right now in your homeland. They cut off the clitorises of women because they're sexually active. You want to talk about culture? You want to talk about culture. There is no culture in a lot of your homelands. Your homelands are depleted and destroyed. Your main cities are like our hood cities. Like that's your best city. If you compare the education system to in your homeland to the Black American education system here, it's completely not even a question. See, a lot of y'all like to do this thing where y'all say, we came over here and we do better than you. Well, let me tell you, there's something that y'all get that Black Americans don't get. We don't get immigrant benefits. We don't get handouts and vouchers. We don't get paperwork that gives us easier to access to get education. We don't get international scholarships. We don't get any of these things. Everything we got it out the mud. And your country wouldn't be such a shithole if y'all actually did something to build it back up, which is why y'all flee to Canada, y'all flee to the US, and y'all flee to the UK, because most of you people are lazy. Most of the men in your homelands are actually lazy. And a lot of times, y'all really jealous because y'all understand that we have the popping culture and everybody wants to be us. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't be over here. Everything that y'all got because we gave you an opportunity to get it. What they don't like to add as well, outside of all them immigrant handouts and shit, which is why we need to call ICE and get all you motherfuckers gone. But what y'all don't like to speak about either is the fact that y'all get America and the UK and Canada, they get the top 10% of their countries. I hope y'all know that. See, they like to play this game where they like to be like, I came over here and all I had was a bottle of water and I had some lint in my pocket and I was able to come to America and I was able to be successful. You driving around in Uber, you're not successful. That's why you see all the stuff that's happening in Minneapolis right now. The reason why all that scamming and stuff is going on, that's the majority of her people. She's from Somali, right? The majority of your people you operate in scam culture. Notice that I mentioned earlier about all of those housing vouchers and they get all of these, they get all this paperwork, they get food stamps, they get housing benefits. It's 6-7 people in a house, fake daycares and stuff. You come from a scam culture, man. The bottom of the barrel of people. A scam culture, which is why so bad in Somalia. Why is the healthcare system so bad in Somalia? You're not letting me finish. You got to be quiet. If your culture is so popping, why is the education system so bad in your culture? Why do y'all barely have any type of healthcare system over there?
What is this conversation? You have Somalia, a country that went through collapse and civil war and still rebuilding a system. And you have Black Americans, people inside one of the strongest systems in the world. Yet they're struggling with, what are you doing? Yes. And yet they're still dealing with inequality inside it. And these two are having a conversation. I'm better, you're this, you're not, you're tethered, my struggle is better. Sheesh. Because this conversation is comparing outcomes without comparing system. Somalia doesn't have a stable system. Black Americans are inside a system that doesn't fully serve them. This is not the same thing. So please, Somalis, Black Americans, don't have this conversation like this. Black Americans build influence inside a system that's not built for them. They made their presence known in the system. Somalis, we're coming from a place where the system is self-collapsed. So, let's learn from each other and not debate each other.
So at the beginning, the caller appears confident in her position. She had strong opinions about Black Americans and wasn't shy about expressing them. The issue is that when you're discussing history, identity, or even culture, people are going to ask questions. They are going to want clarification, and they are going to want even evidence. And that is exactly what happened here. What seemed like a straightforward criticism suddenly became a debate over facts, experiences, and perspective. And once the live stream and once people start pushing back, the conversation took a very, very different turn. So we all know that confidence doesn't always mean that you will win debates. You can be passionate, you can be convinced you're right, but if you're making broad claims about an entire community, people are going to expect those claims to be supported. And what I noticed throughout this discussion was that the panelists kept bringing the conversation back to specifics instead of focusing on emotions. What was asked is, what is the evidence? What examples are you referring to? How does the claim hold up historically? And that's where things became difficult, because when a discussion moves from opinions to facts, the burden of proof gets much heavier. Well, we all know how social media is, and viewers expect the panel or even a live stream to simply argue back and forth. Instead, he started breaking down individual points one by one. And when that happens, audiences begin paying attention to who is actually answering the questions that are being asked. And that is why so many people in the comments are describing this moment as a turning point. Not because someone was louder, not because someone got emotional, but because one side appeared more prepared for discussions. So another thing that we should mention is that conversations involving African immigrants, Black Americans, culture, and identity are often more complicated than people realize. Different groups can have different experiences, their perspectives are different, and even different histories. But productive conversations happen when people are willing to listen and support their arguments. The moment we start relying entirely on assumptions or even stereotypes, the quality of the discussion drops immediately. And I think that is one of the biggest lessons from this exchange between these two people. And whether you agree with the caller or not, preparation matters, facts matters, and being able to defend your position also matters. And at the end of the day, everybody is entitled to their own opinions, perspectives, but when those opinions are challenged in public debates, people are naturally going to judge the strength of your arguments being presented. And that's why many viewers felt this conversation backfired on this woman. Not because someone was silenced, not because someone wasn't allowed to speak, but because when discussion becomes more detailed, once the discussion became more detailed, some arguments appeared much harder to defend than others. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Did the caller make any valid points? Did the panelists handle the discussion well? Or do you think there were arguments that deserved a better response? If you enjoyed this breakdown, kindly hit the subscribe button to join our family. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.